go.
James Pond.
Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Boise. I'm your host, Alex Muir, and today we're going to be bringing you an exciting sport that's been in the Treasure Valley for quite some time now. It's rugby. Now, today I have with me, and forgive me if I butcher your name on TV, it's Mick Losse.
Mick Losse, yes,
Mick
that's
Losse.
correct.
And he is of the Snake River Rugby Club. And so basically just tell us a little bit about yourself and about the club.
Okay,
So,
well, I can definitely do that. First, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for having me.
Of course.
Pleasure coming out and kind of sharing the rugby spirit, rugby culture, and just overall information about rugby. Like you said, I'm from Snake River Rugby, which was established in 1972 here along the Snake River, the Snake River itself. So that's kind of why the name Snake is Snake River Rugby. We've been playing at a very high competitive pace for the past 15 to 20 years, and we actually won a national championship in 1996 for Division II, which is pretty awesome. We've gotten pretty close in the past 5 years. We've made 2 appearances in the Final Four, one in the Sweet 16, or actually the Elite 8, where we took the number 1 seed to triple overtime. So I'd go ahead and say that we finished 5th that year, but we've been really, really close to winning another national championship, and hopefully this season we're able to do that.
nice.
So yeah, the club's been around for a while.
It has.
I think personally, like rugby is one of the biggest sports around the world. So America's kind of catching up to seeing how awesome the sport is, and one of the international allures of rugby is just seeing the different cultures. The most famous team right now, or the best team in the world, is from New Zealand, and they kind of do this pre-match ritual that is called the haka, which is pretty intense, and I think as soon as the American fan base sees something like that, that they'll be drawn into the great sport of rugby, and I believe we'll be able to share a little bit of the haka with our audience today.
Yeah, we will. For me personally, I have lived in Boise for my whole life. I actually have never actually been to a rugby match. I know pretty much nothing
We need to change that.
about rugby, actually. So just tell me how, just everything about it,
Okay.
from start to finish, if I was just like a 3-year-old.
Okay.
Tell me
so
how rugby would work.
The way rugby was developed, there was a guy named Alex Webb who was playing soccer in England, and then he decided to pick up the ball and run. So that's how rugby actually started. From that point on, we established rules, and there's actually 2 different kinds of rugby there's 4 different variations. There's 15s, there's league, there's 7s, and then there's also 10s. Snake River participates in all of those except for league. But that's how the sport started in England, and then it kind of caught fire, and the 7s portion of the game is something that was actually part of the Olympic Games in 1920 to 1924, I believe, and the U.S. was actually able to get gold in both of those Olympics. So it's exciting to see it come back for the Rio Games, because hopefully America will be able to defend our gold, but the competition is definitely a lot better now. So rugby begat what we actually know as American football now, and that's where you kind of have all the same markers. The term touchdown actually comes from rugby.
Oh.
Because in order to score a try, you have to run and touch the ball down with downward pressure, and that kind of you have to touch the ball down. So that's why touchdowns are called touchdowns.
Yeah.
Is because that it has that rugby lineage.
Well, I've always thought of rugby as being basically football on steroids, pretty much, because it looks brutal. So, it's the game itself. Whatever I've seen is you're all in the huddle or scrub. That's what it is. I think I've heard that one. But explain to me what is going on exactly in a game.
To me, the way I explain what rugby is, as I say, it's a cross between football, soccer, and cheerleading and powerlifting. And shout out to all the cheerleaders out there, because you guys are athletes.
Yeah.
but you know, there's a lot of mechanics now. There's a point in the game where if the ball goes out of bounds, you'll have to do what's called a line out. You have to throw the ball back into play. For the first, you know, 50 years of the sport, you had to line up in a line, and then guys would just jump for the ball. Now there's these intricate patterns where this team will line up on one side, this other team will line up on the other side, but then they also have what's called a jumper. So his teammates will actually jump and lift him up into the air to contest for the ball. So that's where you kind of get the cheerleading aspect of it, you know, because a lot of those guys are very strong, very powerful, throwing people up in the air, and that's kind of where what we do with on the lineouts, and then you know, a lot of powerlifting comes into play when you're in those scrums, when the forwards are packing down and actually hitting each other and trying to drive for the ball. Because so what happens in the scrum is there are 8 guys from each side, and it's actually like almost like human origami the way everybody kind of links into.
It does look very, very complicated.
Into one another. But as soon as that ball is put in the middle of both opposing teams, you have what's called a hooker. The hooker will hook the ball back, and then they'll jostle for position. You know, and then obviously soccer, you can run and kick the ball at any time. And then so football, you know, running with the ball, making tackles and things like that. So soccer begat rugby, begat football. So rugby is the son of soccer, father of football.
Interesting. It sounds very complicated. I'm not going to remember any of that unless I actually play the game, of course. And I was going to ask you, what actually happened to your arm here?
So this is part of my Halloween costume that I didn't take off. No, actually, you know, rugby is a collision sport, and I had a little injury here to my tricep. I did have surgery. And
you did this during your play? Yeah.
So I actually did this like 4 weeks ago. Right before Halloween, and I had surgery and things like that. But one of the benefits of playing rugby and being under the banner of USA Rugby is USA Rugby actually provides insurance, health insurance to all its participants. So if you don't like the Affordable Care Act, go play rugby and you'll have health insurance there.
So you mentioned before the haka, which is a dance, I believe?
It's a pre-war ritual.
Okay. And I believe that we actually have a video of the haka that we wanted to share, and I believe that we're ready to look at that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the haka video. And well, that seems like a really interesting way of starting off a game. So what is actually the purpose of the haka?
So the purpose of the haka is to actually prepare yourself for battle and intimidate the opponent. Like I said, rugby has a global appeal, and that is you know, something that's pretty common in the islands of the South Pacific, where you know, various other cultures like Tongans, Samoans, Fijians will do it. You know, they're warring people down there, so they would do these things to psych themselves up, to prepare themselves for battle. And speaking specifically about the Maori individuals, what they're doing there is they're doing what's called a pukana, and that's where they're bulging their eyes as wide as they can, and then sticking their tongue out as far as they can. In the Maori culture, the longer your tongue is, the longer your lineage. So that's kind of where look how long my lineage is. You don't have a chance of winning because I have all these people. And those motions where they're actually bringing their hands to their body.
Yeah.
Some will say that it's actually them bringing their ancestors down into their body so that it can prepare them better for war. But getting back to the global appeal of rugby, you have, you share culture, and that's one of the ways that the people from New Zealand, both the immigrants and the indigenous people, the Maoris, kind of share that culture before rugby matches. But that's intense, and
so it seems really personal. Is
very personal, and very unifying, because everybody who's performing that haka is of the same mind, where they're going to go ahead and take it to the opponent and make sure that they dominate or that they put their best effort, because that's what they're going to do to honor their ancestors and be successful.
So do you do that before your matches at all?
We don't.
We don't
do that. Some people have requested that we do it. At the same time, I'm okay just saying a prayer and then kicking off.
Okay.
So we actually don't do the haka. In high school, where I'm from in Sacramento, we actually did it. A lot of my team was Tongan.
Yeah.
But we didn't do the Tongan haka, so to speak. We did the New Zealand haka because it was kind of the coolest.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of the haka. If I ever had the chance to face the haka on the rugby pitch against New Zealand, I'd probably have to break ranks and do the haka at the same time with them or something. It's something that is very special to witness. The Maori All Blacks, who's kind of like the second side, like the second side for New Zealand, came to America just 2 weeks ago, and they played the U.S. Eagles, who were the USA national team, and they performed the haka before the match, and the crowd responded by chanting USA.
Nice.
Initially, I'm sitting there thinking that that's kind of, I'm thinking as a fan, if I saw the haka, I'd probably just be in awe of it. But for those fans to chant USA is kind of heartwarming because
people really get into this,
and it's a challenge. They're challenging our team to see what they got, and then our fans responded by saying we accept the challenge and chanting USA. So I think that's cool. That's a positive spin, and that actually came from the Maori All Blacks. They said, we gave them a challenge, and they responded back by saying USA. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you compete a lot in Boise, correct? And we have footage of one of your matches.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And this will actually help me understand it a little bit more to actually see what's going on and see the rules of what you were telling me about. So I believe we have the footage right now, and let's go ahead and take a look at the match, and you can actually explain to me what's going on.
So right here we have the kickoff. This is Snake River against the Portland Pigs, and the kickoff went straight out of bounds. So we have an option to do either re-kick it, take a line out, or scrum down. And this is actually us scrumming down. The scrum is performed by the forwards and the back, by the forwards. So 8 guys go in, the 9th guy puts the ball in. There was a little miscommunication here, but then we actually eventually got the ball out, and there I am running with the ball. Was able to take it into contact, get the ball back, and you have this guy right here, the number 9, who typically will go to every breakdown, or what we call a ruck, and get the ball out to open space. So this is us on the offensive, and we're making steady gains to get to our try line, where we would need to score or kick a penalty conversion to score points. But yeah, so this is us. Our backs are lined up. We're getting the ball out. We continuously keep pushing, keep punching. There is an offside line that is created once the person goes down, and then one of our teammates goes over to protect the ball, and then once the defender engages. So yeah, this is us just doing our thing.
Sweet Lord, this is so complicated.
Here's another scrum where it looks like it was their put in. So it's their ball. They're getting the ball here and kicking it out of bounds to gain ground, which can be advantageous at some point in many spots. And this is the line out here. And this is where we actually have the jumpers and the lifters working in unison to retain possession of the ball. Their ball goes up, they won it, so it's on their side. And now we have to set the defensive line.
It almost seems like this was created on a playground of a recess of a grade school almost, just throwing a ball around and making up rules as you go, pretty much.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of fun. I'm sure that all the rules make it more complicated, but honestly, to me, I think this would just be fun, just to get out and just throw the ball around. It almost looks like when you were a kid and you were just throwing a ball around with your friends on a playground, but it's a little more brutal. Holy crap! And
so this is us scoring a try right there.
Nice.
You have to touch the ball down. And yeah, that's 5 points. So the scoring actually works a little bit different than soccer or football. When you actually touch the ball down and score a try, it's worth 5 points.
5 points.
This conversion that we just saw Tyler Moyer kick is worth 2 points. So in football, you have a touchdown that's worth 6, and then the PAT, which is worth 1 point. In rugby, it's 5 and then 2. So that's us scoring a try, and people are moving really fast right now.
And we're starting over again.
So
Score.
this again is a kickoff, and this is us taking the ball up into contact and just trying to advance the ball closer to our try line. And this is actually at Willow Lane Sports Complex, so most of our home matches are played at Willow Lane on the soccer field there.
Interesting.
We did have our Pacific Northwest tournament last year at Ann Morrison, so we have a couple different venues that we like to use.
What are all of the venues that you like to use? You got like Ann Morrison and I'm sorry, what was the name?
Willow Lane.
Willow Lanes and
then we've also used West Junior High back in the day. We've also used Eagle Middle.
So you can play it on pretty much any football field.
Typically, a rugby field is a little bit
Different.
wider and longer than a football field. But yeah, I mean, we can play. We can definitely play on a football field.
Yeah. So it seems like a lot of people can get really hurt in this game. It's because obviously you're not wearing a whole lot to protect you. What actually are the uniforms for this?
So typically, all you need are rugby cleats, a mouthpiece, and shirts and a shirt and shorts to play. Some people, you will see some guys with the old school football helmet where there's no face mask, and that's called a scrum cap, just for a little bit more protection. Some guys do have lightweight shoulder pads that they wear. Obviously, we'll tape up and try to be as sound as possible in terms of like wrists and ankles and things like that. But
so it's very minimal though, is what I see, compared to like football pads and stuff like that. So.
And this is us just setting our defensive line so that they don't gain any ground. And
interesting.
But as you can see, it's continuous action.
Yeah, it seems like it's just nonstop.
Yeah, there's no time to rest, which makes fitness all that more important.
Interesting. So, some of the things there's a lot of questions that I have about this, and one of them was like cross training. What do you do for stuff like that?
So as you can tell, kind of segued into that. There aren't really any breaks. So fitness is highly important.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different variations that we do to condition. One of them is one of our players owns a CrossFit gym. So we have our winter workouts at the CrossFit Refinery Boise, and Tyler Moyer puts those on for us. And We typically go about 2 times a week. We try to go 2 times a week, but that kind of training plays well with rugby because it's all about the recovery. So you'll have this burst of energy,
Yeah.
and then you need to recover quickly.
Yeah.
And the training that we do through CrossFit has actually allowed us to better train for rugby. I mean, you can just go out and on a track and do kind of interval training, and that'll definitely help. But incorporating the weights really is something that is applicable to the sport of rugby because you're hitting people, you're using that strength, you need to get up off the ground, you need to lift people. So
Yeah.
we do CrossFit. Some of us like to just work out on our own.
Yeah.
But as long as you are really ready to recover, that kind of puts you in the best place to succeed for rugby fitness.
Yeah. So it seems like it's just a huge intake on your body, and it's very physical. So we have a clip of some of your training, actually. It's just a little brief summary of what you actually do. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you actually have to do for the sport. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Weight here, and this is all in that effort to exert as much as we can, and then recover. And this is kind of the inside of the CrossFit refinery here during one of our winter workouts. Is our workouts.
That's wow. That's a lot of. That's a lot. I don't know if I could actually do that. I'm very skinny, so
You can do it. There's a place on the rugby pitch for you.
There, yeah, probably there is. But things like how your club does, like in the off season. What do you guys do? Like
in the off season, we love to do community service. Last weekend, we were able to go out and participate in Rake Up Boise. I know we have some things in the works with Habitat for Humanity, a couple toy drives with the Boise Bombers. They're a wheelchair rugby organization here locally. But we really focus on doing right by the community. Because one of the things that I've been taught is that you kind of owe your success or give back to those who you owe your success to, and a lot of our success comes from the community support that we garner. And we've been fortunate enough to be on the national scene. We've been in a couple of different publications. Rugby Mag. This is AmericanRugby.com. So really growing the sport and having a positive influence on the community is something that we want to establish as a organization. So.
Yeah, you guys seem really deeply embedded in stuff like that. So just all of your charity work and all of like Rake Up Boise and stuff like that, it seems like you guys are really good Samaritans when it comes to being sports and then doing your part in Boise. So you guys entertain for all of Boise, and then you guys just go ahead and
we feel that that's the best way to promote the sport of rugby is by getting out and doing community outreach, because one, it helps our fellow man, and two, it's something that we can build on. We can go to certain organizations when our coffers aren't full and say, would you mind helping us out? This is some stuff that we've done in the past. We've actually even helped out with the Special Olympics preparation. There was a bunch of us that went out and built some of the fields or the equipment there. We also had a clothing drive at our last match for the Women's and Children's Alliance. So getting our name out there in a positive manner is hugely important because one, we want to honor everybody, all the snakes that came before us. Like I said, we were established in in 1972. So there's a lot of history behind this organization. And as the current captain, I feel that it's indicative of me to make sure that I portray Snake River as the organization that it is.
Yeah, and so in terms of like promoting things, is it only just through your charity work that you promote things, or like basically how are you getting the word out for people to come to the games?
Well, it's not only through the charity work, it's also those other media outlets. We've had Channel 7, Channel 7.
And obviously this.
This setup works nicely.
Yeah.
Channel 7 and Ryan Lorando have come out and run a couple stories on us. We've had publications in the Boise Weekly as well as the Idaho Press Tribune.
So you make sure that you like tell people, hey, come watch our rugby matches.
We have a online presence with our Facebook. So if you haven't liked us on Facebook, please do so.
Like them on Facebook.
SnakeRiverRugby.com is another outlet that you can reach out. We have we're on Twitter as well. So we're trying to hit all the media outlets that are feasible. We've also been on the radio quite a bit. With 104.3. And then we've done some work with various AM radio stations. So, and then our biggest opportunity for growth would actually be through the youth. And a bunch of our Snakes, past and present, Snake River Rugby players have created what's called Rugby Idaho. And Rugby Idaho is basically the governing body for the youth of the Treasure Valley, or the entire state of Idaho, because there are under 19 teams, or I'll say high school teams, set up in eastern Idaho, in Idaho Falls and places like that. So Rugby Idaho was actually created for the promotion of rugby.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, we are actually out of time. I really hope that a lot of people are actually going to come out and watch your games, and we really want to keep this in Idaho, because I think it's actually a really interesting thing to do. So we're actually out of time, so thank you so much, Mick, for joining me today. We're actually going to be signing off now. Thanks for tuning in to beautiful Boise. We'll see you next time.